So here we go, the start of the first semi-final of the Canadian Open. A big day for Mats Wilander. And a tough first rally, fairly windy out on the centre court, blustery. Difficult conditions. One can expect long rallies this afternoon. The court fairly slow, cement type surface. Obviously all the tournaments pre-US Open are of a similar standard and a similar make. So the players leading up to the US Open obviously like to practice and to train and to play on the same surface as the US. Agassi, who beat Maleva Washington in the quarterfinals, 7-6, 6-3. Wilander had a great win against Kafelnikov. You can see Mats Wilander looking into the sky, which is really trying to judge which way the wind's blowing. It affects the toss-up on the serve and also the balls in the rally. Well, it's going to be tough out here this afternoon for Mats. Very difficult to out-hit Andre Agassi from the baseline, and really that's the only game that Mats Wilander has, is from the baseline. Can volley very well, but you probably won't see many times that he'll come to the net. So, break of serve in the first game of this semi-final. Andre Agassi versus Mats Wilander. And as you can see from that last game, long rallies are expected. The court is very slow. The ball bounces high. And it's going to be a tough and rugged game for Mats Wilander to get into action here in this semi-final. Andre Agassi, who's been playing very well indeed this week. Beat Jeff Tarango in the first round. And then played well, particularly in the quarterfinals against Maliva Washington. Not sure what Mats Wilander's saying. I don't know whether he's complaining about that very first point when he thought he served an ace. And yes, I think that's it. He's looking at the serve because the very first point of the match, and it just shows you how tense and worked up someone like Mats is, and how important every point is, because on the first point of the match, he served what he thought was an ace. Andre Agassi walked, really saying in body language, yes, Mats, that was an ace, and then the umpire overruled the linesman and called a fault. So Agassi with a break, 1-love. And a few mishits from Wilander. An unusual miss from Agassi. The serve set him up really on the forehand. That's Wilander a little fortunate. And there was the wind. The wind suddenly blustered, really affecting the flight of the ball on that last one. Playing in the wind is one of the most difficult types of climatic condition. Players don't mind heat because they're used to that. But the wind affects the throw up on the serve and also the ball in flight, particularly on a very slow, high bouncing ball. And you can see the pattern of this match. Both players happy to stay back. No one's hit a volley as yet. Agassi perhaps just asking for the umpire to turn his microphone off because it affects the wind. Or should I say it's affected by the wind. beautiful shot. Wilander playing a lot of balls straight down the middle to Agassi, stopping him getting the angle. But on that last one, he runs around his backhand so well. Hits the ball with tremendous power down the line. And that's going to be a problem for Mats Wilander this afternoon. Anything short, half court, Agassi runs around his backhand and really hits his forehand very, very, very well. Often for the outright winner. So both games fairly long in rallies. The pattern of the match is set. Both players playing from the baseline. Perhaps Wilander will try and serve and volley a few times just to break it up. Love to. Well, ever the man for disguise. Didn't come off that time. Oh, great shot. Once again, running round his backhand, hitting the beautiful forehand. Even if his opponent gets those back, he's just so quick. Wonderful footwork, Andre Agassi. Well, very difficult to play against someone like Agassi when he's in this frame of mind. It's always tough when you lose the opening game against someone of the Agassi class, because it gives him that little bit added confidence, and you can see from that last shot how confident he is. So a good start from Andre Agassi in this first semi-final of the Canadian Open here in Montreal. Agassi comfortably in the lead 3-love. And Wilander's got to try and use these 90 seconds in the chair to work out what he's got to try and do. Perhaps he should try and attack the ball more against Andre Agassi, because he's certainly not winning the long rallies. But it's very difficult to know how to play Andre Agassi on this type of surface. Many of the players believe that it's best just to play down the middle a bit more against Agassi, not giving him any angles. But it's a difficult tactic. There's the prize money, $254,000 if one of the 4 semi-finalists win this tournament, and a lot of ATP computer points to go with it. Very warm, as you can see from the umbrellas. And what a week Mats Wilander has had so far. Who would have expected someone ranked 102 on the ATP computer ranking to reach the semi-final? Difficult to believe. Beat Wayne Ferreira 6-3, 6-2 in the round before the quarters. So Agassi in full flow, serving at 3-love. And the first time Mats Wilander volleys, he wins the point. Perhaps that'll register something in his mind that he should try and get to the net a little bit more. And one of the few times that Agassi's lost a long rally from the baseline. A couple of encouraging signs here for Wilander. Oh, great serve, great serve. Went for the wide, angled to the forehand. And of course, Agassi and any player works out that if you hit that wide serve, even if he gets it back, it opens up the court for the server. So a little embarrassing out here at the moment for Mats, who after a wonderful week so far here can't quite get a game. There's the number of winners. 7 winners to Agassi, 1 to Wilander. And so far in 4 games, that tells the story. Wilander obviously worked out that he should try and attack the ball a little bit more and get to the net. But that's what happens, unfortunately. If the approach shot isn't absolutely perfect and deep, Agassi is going to pass you. rally from Mats. He had to work at it. And the lob from Agassi was so high in the air, swirling around. Always the difficulty when you're playing Agassi. He moves you around the court, uses all the angles, hits with tremendous depth, although that last ball was just out. Very, very difficult player to play against. The ball swirling around during the rally. And Wilander hitting very, very good topspin backhand, one of his favourite shots. I often associate that shot with Swedish players, particularly on the forehand side, topspin lob. Well done, well done. And one can hear from the applause, the relief of the spectators, that Mats Wilander has finally got a game. But as I was saying, very, very difficult player to play against. Wilander, who hasn't got a modern, heavy topspin game. One of the old breed of the players from the past. Turned pro way, way back in 1981. Had a break from the game in 1990, and in 1994 it was the first time in 4 years that he'd really come back on the tour full time. Whereas this young fella, he's been on the tour over the recent years and has made a wonderful, wonderful name for himself, has risen the whole status of men's tennis, and has done wonderful things for the game. There's the first serve percentage. Wilander quite low, 47%, quite high for Agassi. And the winners, 8-2 to Agassi in Agassi's favourite. So those match statistics do tell us a little bit of a story. Agassi, in my mind, must be one of the best known sportsmen in the world. Wherever he goes, he is the most popular competitor. And although Mats Wilander was in the rally, perhaps, what, 10, 12 shots, he was always on the defensive in the rally. Really, it was the serve that set that rally up. Again, very strong serve to the forehand. It was a year after he turned pro in 1982, when at 17 years of age, Mats Wilander won the French Open. It's a long time ago. Not sure whether the modern day player can last that long on the circuit. But certainly Mats Wilander has been around a long, long time. The oldest competitor in the quarterfinals and the semi-finals. Jeremy Bates was the oldest competitor in this tournament before it started. Jeremy Bates, 33 years of age. Wilander, 30.
Agassi.
That's the story of the match so far. Wilander just missing by that few inches. I'm not really too sure what that last shot was. Whether it was a slight mishit or whether it was a topspin lob or a pass. Unfortunately, Mats Wilander really struggling to get games out here this afternoon. Agassi in great form. So Wilander serving at 1-5. A few sympathetic calls that perhaps the ball was in from the spectators. And Wilander's starting to serve and volley a few more times. You might as well, if you won 5, change the tactics. Look to what you're going to operate as far as tactics are concerned in the second set. And who knows, you may get a few games in the meantime. Terrific stuff from Agassi. The sign of a class player, making it look oh so easy for most players. This would be a difficult shot. To Agassi, fairly simple. And that sets up the first set point. And a much better game from Wilander. Decided to serve and volley, mix it up a little bit. Perhaps he is now saying to himself he should have done that a little bit earlier. Maybe at 3-love down. And that's what the great players are very good at doing. Suddenly changing their tactics, looking at themselves through the mirror almost. It's cold, hard facts of life that Wilander was getting nowhere from the baseline, was losing all the long rallies, so decided to change his strategy and serve and volley, coming in much more. Not that that will particularly worry Agassi, because he's got the most wonderful passing shots. But so far, Wilander really struggling out here, but good that he's staying in the set at 5-2 down. As you can see from the spectators' clothes and the few bits of paper on the court, it's still quite blustery, quite difficult conditions, very warm. The Canadian Open, one of the big tournaments prior to the US Open. And Agassi has won 80% of the first serve points. So every time he gets his first serve in so far, he's won 80% of the points. And the lob was very short. Anyway, if you put slice on the lob in this wind, it just swirls around and drifts, unfortunately, out like that last one. Wilander was #1 in the world way back in 1988. So, Andre Agassi, his second set point of this match so far. Reception to start with from the spectators, but Andre Agassi comfortably winning that first set 6-2. So Mats Wilander has got to change strategy if he hopes to do better in this second set. Oh dear, that's unfortunate. Could only have been a millimetre out. But definitely in that rally, much more sharper point from Wilander, although he lost it. Wilander employing the one-handed heavy slice ball on his backhand to try and keep it low against the Agassi backhand. Didn't work that time. Another good game from Andre Agassi. There really is no stopping him this afternoon. He's hardly making any unforced errors, really. He's serving well. He's moving Wilander around the court. And really, Wilander can do very little against the play of Andre Agassi this afternoon.
Following conjunction with the Springs Canada contest, the spectator of the day is in section 5, row F, C2. The Springs hostess will be with our winner in a few moments. Price value is $1,000. Congratulations, Professor.
Well, there's the statistics: 63% of first serves and 60 to Wilander. Very few aces, as you'd expect. Very few double faults. Quite a lot of winners from Agassi. 11 winners versus 2 winners. And more unforced errors from Agassi. And you'd expect that because he's going for more of his shots. And therefore, a player who is attacking the ball much more, you would expect to make more unforced errors. Whereas the type of game that Wilander employs is really much, not necessarily defensive, but it's less attacking than Andre Agassi, which is why Wilander has less unforced errors, but also has less winners. So Agassi 1-love in the second set. And there's few people in the world, apart from Sampras and some of the really big servers, that can live with Agassi in form like this. Doesn't really have any weaknesses at all. The only area of his game which you could call, well, it's, who am I to call it weak? My goodness, Agassi, that is the volley, because he doesn't volley very much on any surface, whether it be a fast indoor or a grass court or a slow clay. And the real strength of Agassi is the return of serve. And Wilander making no impression out here. Agassi's got one or two more gears to go up if necessary. Oh, there we are. That just shows you the type of class of Agassi. Talking about stepping up a gear, on that last shot he just stepped up one or two gears just to prove that he can pass him at will. Really a wonderful shot. Another example of Agassi's all-court play. He just loves to play all the angles, to use all that space on the court. Wilander finds himself so often just playing way outside the court. And one of the few times that Agassi's come into the net to volley. Well, I'm never too sure how much our viewers look at the statistics, but 25%, that's all. And every time that he serves a second serve, that's the number of percentage that he's won. So it's a very low percentage, 25% on the second serve, which rather goes to show the importance of Wilander getting a lot more first serves in if possible. Good volley.
34.
And you saw there, Wilander indicating to himself, the ball jumping around in the air. And by those pictures of Wilander hitting the ball, you could see there how Agassi almost is pivoting from one point in the centre of the court, and Wilander is the one that's moving all around the court. Agassi doing much less running than Wilander at the moment. And Mats Wilander really struggling to win any of his service games, failing to make any sort of impression on a very, very good Andre Agassi here in the semi-finals of the Canadian Open from Montreal. Very difficult conditions out here for Wilander playing against Agassi, who one of his main attributes is the control that Agassi gets from his racket. And when there's wind, and there's a lot of wind out here this afternoon, then Agassi seems to be the person that's got much, much more control on the ball than Mats Wilander. But, as they say, hasn't he done well to reach this semi-final stage? First time since 1983 he's been in the Canadian Open. Had a break from tennis for 3 or 4 years from 1990. Got a little fed up with the game, having toured and toured and toured to so many tournaments, worked so hard, got to #1 in the world. Great Grand Slam record in the past, has been a wonderful, wonderful player. And has now, in the last 18 months, decided to come back on the circuit in a light-hearted way. No big ambitions to be back #1 in the world, but has played remarkably well. But out here this afternoon, he's meeting his match, as they would say. 16 winners from Agassi so far in this match. And you saw there how the ball was completely affected by the wind. And unfortunately for Mats, Agassi completely dominating this match. You see how far he's inside the court when he takes this ball. It wasn't really that forehand that was the best shot. This was the returner serve, which forced the volley that gave only half court. The outright winner, the forehand, was a fairly easy shot. And you can see that Wilander has just decided to come into the net on many more of the shots. Isn't hindsight easy? Wouldn't have been perhaps advisable for Mats to have done that right from the start. But very easy to say that now. Not his most natural game to serve and volley and to come in. But against someone like Agassi, it's just very, very difficult to know how to play him from a tactical point of view. And you can see on that second serve, which bounced very high, Agassi running around the backhand, the type of ground strokes that he's got. It's very, very difficult to beat. He's had a wonderful season so far, Agassi. He and Pete Sampras will be perhaps meeting in the final, although Sampras has still got to get through Thomas Enqvist from Sweden in the other semi-final. Enqvist having done very well in beating Chang in the quarterfinals. Sampras also doing well, beating Michael Stich. And it hasn't been a good day for Mats Wilander, but I'm sure it won't deter him to continue on the circuit. He hasn't got any great expectations to get back to the top. He just likes to play. He's playing a lot of golf as well. Quite relaxed while he's playing the tour. His ranking will go up to around 70. But the man in form is definitely Andre Agassi, as he serves the match at 5-love. One of the spectators saying, "Come on, Andre, give him a break." It's awesome stuff from Agassi. Completely and utterly has dominated this match. And the good first serve has set up 3 match points. Well, a very cheeky shot at the end. Topspin lob when he could have passed either side. And Andre Agassi just showing the class that he has with his racket, winning 6-2, 6-love against the comeback kid, Mats Wilander. Agassi will be well satisfied with that semi-final performance. Mats will go off a little disappointed. Statistics don't mean much at all for Mats Wilander, who will be a little bit depressed about the way he played against an Andre Agassi that was in superb form. So Andre Agassi departs from the centre court, winning 6-2, 6-love in the first semi-final of the Canadian Open.